Jay Slater's funeral is to be held on August the 10th in Accrington, which is up north. He was repatriated last week, and since being home has had a full post-mortem where it was concluded that he died from traumatic head injuries, which resulted from him falling from height. If you're not familiar with the case, and if you're not, you must have been in a hole somewhere. But this is a lad who went on a holiday with his friends, got into some trouble, went back to a strange Airbnb and left, subsequently fell. And this event generated thousands, if not millions, of theories and negative comments online about what, who, why, when, who did what. Very sad for him, very sad for his family. When ultimately all it really was just an accident. Of course it was, but wouldn't it have been? So, as this chapter comes to a close, I hope that his family can find closure from the events that have happened.
I mean, this whole case is so suspicious. May his soul rest in peace.
Could there be something living inside the Earth? What if there is another civilization deep under the Earth's core? A scientist named Edmund Halley presented the theory that the Earth is hollow in the 17th century, but it was not until Admiral Richard Byrd, a polar explorer, flew over Antarctica, claiming that he saw a hole in the Earth. And like with all of his previous travels, he documented all of his discoveries in his personal diary. Later on they discovered his diary, and he describes what he observed. He explains how he saw a literal city inside the hole of the Earth. However, when he returned from his journey, he was ordered not to speak about it, and therefore we will most likely never know what he truly witnessed. So, are they trying to hide something from us?
Wait. So there's a city inside Earth. So is the Earth flat, or is it round, or is it hollow?
I've seen a story about this dude named Brian Egg. He's from San Francisco. He's like a 65-year-old guy. He was a bartender at a gay bar. You know, he lived out there, and I guess he was like a really good neighbor. He would like help out like homeless people around the area to like they could go to his house and like he would help them out. You know, his neighbors were hella cool with him, and then randomly they just stopped noticing him as much. They're like, oh, he hasn't been out to walk his dog or
water the lawn,
water the plants, and all this stuff he used to do all the time. After a while, like they're like, really haven't seen him for hella long, but they're still seeing people like come in and out of his house.
Yeah.
One day, his neighbors see like people in his house like cleaning shit, like scrubbing shit in there. They said that a white van pulls up in front of his house, and it's for like a crime scene cleaning van. So they're like, what the fuck? So they call the police. They're like, bro, this is hella weird. And what they say is kind of like, it's so crazy, like how coincidental it is. But the guy called the police and he says that there's something fishy going on in my neighbor's house. They go to his house is hella clean, and behind a painting, there's a door. They find his torso decomposing inside of a fish tank.
His torso. What?
And I think they said that his feet were inside of like a pair of socks in the fish tank, and there was just hella chemicals inside the fish tank.
What the fuck?
Yes.
When did this happen?
In 2018.
In 2018?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
And the crazy shit is that they never found out who did it.
Really?
Ever. And they never found his hands or his head. But like, this is why this whole thing is kind of weird, because the police did arrest some of the guys who were coming in and out of his house. And some of those guys even were found to stole Brian's credit cards and bought the van to come.
Wow, to clean up the shit.
Yeah, bro.
Wow.
But so they arrested like 3 or 4 dudes, but they ended up letting them all go.
What the fuck?
Yeah, bro. Insane. And like, bro's family is hella like, bro, like, what the fuck? Like, they never got no justice from this shit, bro. And this happened like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, I was gonna say, 2018.
Like 5 years ago, yeah.
Wow, what the fuck?
Crazy, bro.
It's like the case of the Zodiac killer. They never found a suspect.
David said it was the WTF moment.
Yeah, there were definitely some WTFs on the radio. Not in a scared way, but like, what the is that? Like, we're seeing something for the first time.
You know, some people go, what is that? And they run, and then some people see it, what is that? And they're curious. They want to get closer and closer. I wanted to get closer, see what it was.
My lead, Commander David Fravor, he says I'm in, which means that he's engaging with this thing.
We're going around, we get to about the 12 o'clock position, and this thing's still pointing north-south. The tic-tac goes and turns and starts coming up. So now it's mirroring me. whatever it was aware that we were there. And as I come up, I can see him as he's crossing in front of me. It starts to accelerate, gets right on my nose, and disappears. For something to come off the surface of the ocean like it was moving around, to be able to just accelerate to match my speed, and then to rapidly go away, we do not possess that technology.
What would you say to people who aren't even sure there are other entities that exist, let alone own us or feed on us?
I had a discussion with some member of the Skeptic Society, and he was arguing about whether or not anybody could trust the testimony of somebody who had had an unusual experience that couldn't be seen or observed by somebody else. The argument went on, and finally I says, well, if you have never, ever, ever had any kind of unusual intimation or experience, then maybe you just don't have a soul. And he went, what do you mean I don't have a soul? And this is a guy who's just arguing with me that nobody has souls, that souls don't exist, that when you die, that's it. And now when I tell him he probably doesn't have a soul, that's the thing he wants more than anything in the world. I think there are probably 50% of humanity who do not have these experiences. I think that maybe there is a good portion of people who go into the hard sciences as a career path who have very good brains, but they don't have much in the way of spiritual or soul capacities.
I have been told by a man who worked for the Defense Intelligence Agency for 23 years that the National Science Foundation of the United States has scientists that are meeting and collaborating with extraterrestrials in Antarctica in this deep underground installation, something that one of the military people said to me. The walls had hieroglyphs, but the walls did not join with the ceiling. He said, we can only conclude that we are dealing with technology that is neutralizing gravity. Advanced beings could deliberately have isolated Antarctica under deep ice and snow like a partition from the rest of the world as a terraforming strategy to cohabit on Earth while ensuring that the alien base at the South Pole would be hidden.
So does this mean that ice walls in Antarctica are real?
Somebody gave me a very good example. They said, when you make a phone call and you're in America and you're calling London, 6-hour time difference. Well, when you make the phone call, are you waiting 6 hours for the person to answer you each time you ask a question? No, because when you're talking to them, they're receiving it and answering you at the same time, even though there's 6 hours and a half a world away between us. That's a good idea of simultaneous time. It's all now. Everything is happening now.
No way. Is this for real? I never knew that.
Some theories that I fully believe despite having absolutely no evidence. Every time an English coal miner gets a blowy, Margaret Thatcher's grave sinks another millimeter. I don't think that Antarctica is actually cold. Scientists, be gone, okay? I'm not trying to summon you. I think that rich people have collectively convinced us that it is freezing. That's just because they want to deter brokies from going on vacation there. 1/10 of online influencers are full-on psyops. I don't think that Finnish is a real language, or at least not as we know it. I think that the Finns are collectively fucking with us, and how would we know?
Let's explain the tube drill talk. This is, you're not supposed to look at blocks from 4,500 years ago and find perfect cylindrical carve-outs.
Yeah. Grooves. Yeah. I found them at the Met. There's a couple pieces at the Met yesterday.
Really?
Well, yeah, there's a block in there with 2 tube drills. It's pretty cool. There's some categories of stonework, again, coming from the oldest parts of ancient Egypt, like dynastic, like Old Kingdom. And these things there, so this is a core from a tube drill, and if you go to the next picture, you'll see the hole that they leave. This has been split.
Huh.
Right? So what happens is you have a tube drill, whatever.
Yeah.
And it cuts down, it creates this core, and then you snap the core off and you're left with this hole in the granite. Now,
how'd they snap the core off?
well, you get a chisel in there, or you wedge it, I don't know, you wedge something in there and you
just
snap
keep on moving back and forth.
Yeah, you snap it off. You can see where it snapped off just at the bottom. And so you see these in these Old Kingdom sites, and again, into extremely hard stone, basalt, granite, diorite, blah, blah, blah. And they get quite large, right? That's one that's about 9 inches, 8-9 inches in width. And again, the block's been quarried. So this would just be a hole on its own until somebody came along and quarried the block. I think they looked for them for quarrying because of, it's like a hole, so they try and split the stone on the axis of the drill hole.
Old painting that is called Satan Summoning His Legions, and this was painted by Sir Thomas Lawrence around 1796. This painting is said to be Satan, the rebel angel who has been sent to hell, standing by a lake of fire. He summons his followers. The subject is Milton's Paradise Lost, Book 1, line 330. Awake, arise, or be forever fallen. This is pretty sinister if you think about it. I mean, Sir Thomas Lawrence, what are you thinking when you're painting this? You see this figure with his arm up, and his face looks very sinister as well. And if you look on top of his head, it seems to be some sort of bird on top, maybe an eagle. But what's very interesting is that this face and this pose is strikingly similar to that of the Statue of Liberty. And it's very interesting because the arm is up, the muscle structure looks very similar as well. And if you go back to the painting of Satan summoning his legions, you can see that his feet are kind of on the balls of his feet with a heel up. And what's interesting is on the Statue of Liberty, it has a very similar stance, which is kind of strange. And also what's very interesting is that on the Statue of Liberty, on one of the feet, it has a chain that is broken. Okay, what does that mean? Now, in light of everything that we've been researching, we need to reconsider what all this means, what the Statue of Liberty means, what the 1776 date means. We've been told that we declared independence. From who, though? What if that is all a complete lie? Because what else is interesting is that in 1776, the Illuminati was also formed. In the back of our dollar bill, it also says Novus Ordo Seclorum, which translates to the New World Order. A lot of people think that we are currently waiting the New World Order. But what if in 1776 the New World Order actually began? The connection here is in the Bible, in Revelation chapter 20 verse 3. It says that after the 1,000-year reign of Christ is fulfilled, that Satan should be loosed for a little season. Now, why is it, again I'm asking, that there is a chain that seems to be broken from the Statue of Liberty? Could it be that after the 1,000-year reign, that Satan and the New World Order are declaring their independence from Jesus Christ and his reign, and now we are in the New World Order already? So this isn't something that we're waiting for. We are in the New World Order after the reign of Christ. I know this is crazy to think about or even consider, but in light of the fact that our history has been a lie, we need to reconsider all things.
So we are not waiting for the New World Order. It is already happening.
That we never looked up, and I think what's happening now is we're looking up. Phenomenon is interested in the bad things, and it brings along a lot of bad things. And it's not because that we're going to come out and say UFOs are real. Well, guess what? UFOs are bad news. Deal with it. They just are. The UFO phenomenon has a hive mind, okay? These creatures they potentially don't have souls. They're like clones, and they worship their own technology to some degree. You have shows like Ancient Aliens and every other thing out there that's coming up with these bizarre ideas that aliens built everything. And now people are not, or now people are, for a lack of a better term, worshiping aliens. Aliens built everything. Aliens made us. Aliens are the gods. Aliens this, aliens that. And I said, that's what happens when there's a vacuum. And it got filled with something that is no good. So we're going to come out of this thinking that aliens are good, and they're not, and at least this one specific race I'm talking about. So, and I call them the bugs. Because, you know why I call them the bugs? Because other people call them the bugs. So my whole point here is we need something different. Now, if there's a TV show that just talks about, like, events, like this happened and there's some questions about it, that's one thing. But when there's a TV show, when it sits down and it's just glorifying, abstract ideas that aliens are responsible for everything,
right? Just
because it's filling the hour and people are trying, that's bad. That's bad news. This is a real topic. How it was told to me, the universe is teeming with life, okay? Teeming, not just like, hey, we might find a little bit over here and there. Teeming. You have intelligences at all different levels on different planets. You have organic intelligence, which is like human beings, lots of humans, super advanced humans, superhumans with telepathic powers, and some humans that are just like us, some humans that are cavemen. You also have inorganic beings. You have beings that are on rock planets and gas planets that oxygen's poisonous to them, right? You also have weird bands of light that are alive that swim like worms in the vacuum of space, the way a whale does in an ocean, okay? Sure. You have amoebas that are floating around sucking up energy. Those amoebas could be as big as Jupiter, or they could be like a Volkswagen. It's like it's teeming with life. And we were so stuck on ourselves that we never looked up, and I think what's happening now is we're looking up.